the time? Where does it go? So much to craft, so much to sew. Time is ticking, there's a buzz in the air. Need to get ready, no time to spare.
Good morning, gifted crafters. It's crafting time.
Today is gonna be that day. Gonna have things go my way. Embroidering fashion that sells. Using all my knowledge, I will excel. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part. I search the web for a magical design. Looking high and low as I sip on my wine. Metallic thread, watch it shimmer and shine. I transform my blanks into a one-of-a-kind. Stitch by stitch, let color shine bright. Turning a blank canvas into art feels right. Time is flying by and this is my art. With embroidery machines, I'm doing my part.
Live from the Sunshine State in Miami, Florida, here is the Gifted Crafters Morning Show with Nancy.
Good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Hey, gifted crafters, and good morning out there, and welcome to the Gifted Crafters Morning Show. Hello out there. I see the chat is going off, and yes, we are back. So excited today. I am so happy to be back again. Long story on all that happened yesterday. It was just crazy out there. But let's say hello to everyone out there. I see people from Virginia. We've got Texas here. We've got Maryland. I see Michigan. Of course, my neighbor from Miami, Florida. Hello. There's my friends from Canada. I see Lake Ridge, Virginia. Good morning. PSL, Florida. It's Port St. Lucie for those of you who are not aware. And let's see here. We've got Virginia. Oh, North Carolina is having a soaker this morning. So sorry, Flo. Hope the sun comes out soon enough. Northern Illinois is here. Good morning. Oh, Michigan. Yes, awesome. Hello, Cindy. Okay, good morning. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys giving me all your support. And for those of you who are tuning in the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and we host these daily sessions because we just love to craft. And for the love of crafting, we just have to, get together and share tips, tricks, ideas, all kinds of things on this channel. We just have a blast. So if that's something that you're into, you're certainly in the right place. Go ahead and put yourself in the chat and say hello. Let us know that you're here for the first time, or maybe you were just watching and it's the first time you're participating in the chat. We would love for you to join us, and we just have a great time. It's so much fun in the chat, you know, watching. We just have a great time. It's just something that we do, and we love to share all kinds of tips and ideas. And maybe if you have a craft show coming up, or you're looking for a gift, or maybe you have an Etsy shop, this is a great little place to kind of get little tidbits for all of that stuff. So hopefully it is very helpful for you guys. All right, good morning, good morning. Yes. Okay, Wisconsin, you couldn't find me yesterday. Yeah, we've got some issues with that. Okay, so first things first, everybody grab your cup of whatever it is that you have handy, or whatever you have in the morning. There's no judgments. I'm just having my nice cup of cold water because it is a scorcher out there. Grab your coffee, grab whatever it is you have, and do our little toast in the morning. Good morning to everyone, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day. I'm going to grab a little sip. And yes, of course, for those of you who's been here before, we have our snacks. Every time we get together, we have snacks. Food truck is coming down the block here. It should be rolling in any minute. And of course, there it is. You've got your food truck. It's got all the snacks that you'd like. You know, it's got coffee, tea, donuts. We've got muffins, croissants, anything that you would like in the morning. It's totally free and calorie free too. So grab yourself anything that you like. Of course, we've got the healthy stuff like carrots and kale for those of you that want to juice something out there. Alrighty, we've got our snacks, we've got our coffee, we did our little toast. So let's kind of rewind a little bit because we had issues yesterday. And you know the little saying, 1 step forward, 2 steps back? That's what happened to us. So we were doing a little bit of some yard work, and we have a large oak tree that is in the front of our house, and the oak tree really needed some trimming. So it was just crazy that, you know, the oak tree needed to be trimmed, and we had some people, you know, kind of come out to trim the trees, and there was people kind of all over there, and some way, somehow, the fiber cable was somehow disconnected, cut, I don't know, whatever happened to it, but it was lights off for us. And so we kind of didn't even notice what was going on because we were so busy with the yard, and then we got back into the house and settled down, and you know, we noticed, oh wait, our internet is out, and then we thought, oh, I guess everybody's out, maybe because of the storms. And so we waited around a little bit, and it still didn't come back. And so then we kind of just said, okay, let's check around with some people, and we figured out, oh no, you know, it just everyone else had cable. And so we were just like, oh wait, so we figured it out, and we were out, and so we had to call. They had to come and replace a fiber cable where we get our internet, and so now we're all good, and so we're back. So apologies for yesterday because that was crazy. We didn't expect that to happen, and so we did have to wait for them to come out and fix it. So sorry about that. Hopefully we're good now. So let's get right over to our crafting news, and we're gonna kind of go over to our next segment because we've got other things we've got to talk about today. Alrighty, so in our crafting news, let's head over to Central New York. So for all my people out there that are in New York, the Irville Opera House is gearing up for a much-loved annual quilt show, and you're invited to be a part of it. And if you're in the area, go ahead and mark your calendar. This event runs from August the 2nd to September the 13th. So if you're going to be in the New York area, you can attend. They're going to have 3 of their gallery spaces with beautiful handmade quilts. And it's a free opening reception on Saturday from August the 2nd from 1 to 3 p.m. that you definitely will not want to miss. And this is an even more important part. If you want your show, if you want to show off your quilt in this, you can drop off your quilt. Now, quilts need to be received by July the 18th, no later than that. So just 3 days away, guys. And you can submit 1 quilt. It must be labeled. It must be packed in a protective bag. And it's got to be ready to hang with a sleeve and rod. And the submission forms are available on their website or on their office when you drop off your quilt. So if you're nearby the area and you really want you to show off your quilt, you can do that. More information can be found on their website at irvilleoperahouse.com. So check it out if you're in that area. Okay, we've got another event happening in Pennsylvania, and this is kind of a last minute one. So if you're in the area, heads up for that. It got a special quilt auction that's happening on July 15th today. So if you've ever bought a quilt, you know that there's probably a good chance that it passed through this event. Okay, it's run by Hometown Auction, which is a family-owned business, and they bring in handmade quilts from all over the world, and they sell them right in Lancaster County 6 times a year. So it's all, it's at the heart of it all is Aaron Nault, who's the person that grew up all around auctions, and they continue to carry on the tradition. Now, he keeps things local, personal, and old-fashioned, so no internet biddings are allowed. They've just got good people, good quilts, and a fast-paced sale that moves at about 100 lots an hour. So be ready for that one. Now, each auction's going to have 250 quilts, plus some smaller items like quilted pillows, hangings, and supplies. And some of the Amish quilts date back to the 1800s. So really nice, colorful, modern creations for you there. So if you're in the area, go ahead and stop by. If not, go ahead and mark your calendar for the next one that they're going to have, which will be Tuesday, September the 16th, and you can get more information at www.hometownquiltauction.com. Okay, so that's what I have for the news for you guys today. A couple of really great events, so I hope you guys, if you're in the area, you're able to capture that. Alrighty, let's see. Couple of other things I want to let you know about. First off, we've got the Sewing and Quilting Expo that is in Virginia, September the 24th to the 26th. I will be attending that quilt show, and I'm bringing my mom along with me. So she's going to be attending the quilt show, and it's going to be her first time going to an expo like this. So it's going to be a lot of fun meeting my sister there. So we're going to have a great time just kind of browsing and shopping and seeing all the wonderful quilts at the quilt show in Virginia. So if you're in that area, try to go by so we can kind of get together and see you there. So that would be a lot of fun. Next item that I have is something a little more special here for you guys. We've got our 6th camera up and running. And we're calling it the desktop close-up cam. And so what happened was I noticed in a lot of the videos when I tried to show you guys some of the things, like let's say the threads, when we were trying to look at threads, I would try to kind of bring it up to the overhead so that you guys can really see the numbers and everything. And if I do that, you know, it's a little hard because you got glare and you can somewhat get it, right? But I think we needed that second camera to really be able to focus so that you guys can see the details of certain things. So now we've got our desk cam, and with the desk cam, and I have it here over to the side, if I bring this over, whoops, hold on a second. There we go. If I bring this over, you can truly see the details and the number and everything else. So That's what we did. And so we brought up the other camera. It's up and running. So it's got this autofocus feature that we have to kind of keep at. So it might blur out and then it will clear up once I hold it steady. So see how clear that is. And now you guys can see all these tiny, tiny little letters and stitches and everything. So we've got that ready to go. And I hope you guys are going to enjoy that camera. And so now we're at 6 cameras, guys. So it's getting kind of serious in here. So I hope you guys really like it, and I can show you all kinds of different angles, and it's just really going to be fantastic. So yay, yes, awesome, desktop cam. Love it, right? So we've got it hanging on a little arm here, and we've got our camera just kind of aimed down this way. So it's going to help with a lot of those really close-up shots that you guys really love to see. And that way I can share those really little tiny pieces that kind of make it difficult for me to kind of pull it all the way up, because my overhead is kind of high up and I'm kind of sitting, so it makes it a little bit easier. Awesome, that's a great shot. Thanks, Faker McFake. Yeah, I think that I think this is really going to help. Yes. Yeah, Cindy, Mr. H, better slow down.
Help!
Gotta keep him busy. He's gotta be kept busy all the time. We don't stop here. We keep going. All right. So, okay, got you on. I let you know about the internet. I let you know about the Sewing and Quilting Expo, the desktop close-up cam, and I want to mention a couple things I did receive. And one thing I want to really specify on, and I think everyone should have this. I did get some blades, some replacement blades, got them from Amazon at a good deal. So went ahead and got that. But one of the things I really recommend, and I had one here before and then moved things around, took it off, couldn't find it. And so now we've got another one. And these are what they call dongles. Okay. Let me show you what they look like. Well, here's what the package is. And let's use our desktop cam, right? So this is what the dongles look like. They come in this package here. Got this off of Amazon as well. And let me pull one out. And so the dongles are really a lifesaver, guys. This is something that everyone should be using. It's just 2 pieces here, right? There's one here and one here, okay? What this is going to do is really help to save your embroidery machines or your scan and cut, you know, any place where you put in a USB, you should always be using a dongle, because when you think about it, when you're using a USB, you're pulling it in and out and in and out, and you're constantly taking it on and off. And as you do that, it's going to destroy, not destroy, but it's going to wear out your USB port. And you don't want that to go bad, because the minute that goes bad, how are you going to put your USB thumb drive into your embroidery machine or your scan and cut or anything like that? You really always need to have these. These really help out, because as it wears and tears, this is what's going to wear and tear, the dongle, not your machine, right? Not your $20,000 machine or anything like that. I rather this little dongle that costs, I don't know, maybe $4, $10, $5, something like that. You know, I rather this wear out and I can easily swap these out than damage my scan and cut or my embroidery machine or anything like that. So always good to have, very easy. It just kind of hangs on back here. I do have it here, just kind of hangs off the bottom of the machine. And you know, I have my thumb drive attached. So it's out of the way. It doesn't take much, doesn't cost much. And at the end of the day, it will really help to save your machine from all that wear and tear. You know, it's just best safe to have one. So if you don't have one and you have a scan and cut or an embroidery machine or any machine where you use your USB a lot, go ahead and get one, guys, because it really does help to save your machine. And I can't tell you enough how important that is, because you don't want that to happen. It actually happened to my husband on one of his desktop machines, where he kept pulling on and off, and then all of a sudden, one day to the next, it just stopped working. And so it becomes kind of a pain. And can you get it repaired? Sure, you probably can, but it's going to cost you a lot more than just getting a $4 or $5 little dongle and use that instead, right? Awesome. Yes, I see some people saying you use them on your machines. Yes, Lisa, awesome. Great. Okay. Are they listed below? No, but they will be. I'll make sure that we get it on there. Yeah, really important to have that. It's just really a lifesaver. Awesome. You use them on your 10 needle machine. Yes, you use them in your machine. Barbara says you're using great, great, great. Awesome. I'm glad to hear those. Yes. So important to do that, guys. It really is. You definitely want to make sure that you do everything you can to protect your machines, right? Rebecca said you brought the scan and cut. Oh, awesome. During Amazon Prime. Good for you. You're going to love it. You love it, love it, love it. Awesome. Okay, that makes me so happy. Well, there's so much you can do with that. Oh, Rebecca, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Awesome. Okay, so let's get going because we've got some other stuff here. Let me see. I think I told you guys all of the announcement stuff. So let's talk about our project, shall we? So I'm going to move this over to the side. And this is kind of where we left off. And I made a couple of changes. Yes, again, made some changes. Let's see, you ordered through their site during Prime. Oh, thank you, Flo. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That really helps to support the channel, guys. It really does. And, I'm trying to save all my pennies. I'm going to that expo in Virginia in the end of September. So I'm hoping I can pick up some goodies and show to you guys and pick up some tips and things and share all of that with you. Alrighty, let's see here. So let's get to the project. Oh, my dealer of 23 years, I asked about this and she said it's not necessary. Of course they're going to tell you that, Marge. They want you to come in for the repairs, right? Yes, it does happen. It will. I mean, it's just like with anything, guys. Wear and tear. It's going to happen. You keep pulling it out and putting it in, it's going to wear and tear. But would you rather have to replace your $20,000 machine or your scan and cut that at least costs you, $400 or $500, whatever it is? I'd rather replace a $5 item than replace my machine, right? So yeah, with anything, it will wear and tear. And, sometimes if you pull them out really, some people kind of yank them out hard or they slam them in hard. You're moving the parts in there and parts are going to wear and tear. Parts don't last forever. So yeah, definitely. Tell you about the expo, Quilting with Harriet. That is the Sewing and Quilting Expo. And let me see if I have last year's. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I don't think I do. I think I kind of put that away. If you go online and look up Sewing and Quilting Expo, and when you go to that site, it tells you all the different locations that they go to, and they go pretty much all year. They go around to different states, and they're going to be going to Virginia at the end of September. They're usually in Florida around March, I would say mid-March, but they do travel around to different places, and it's really nice. You can take some classes. They have tons of vendors in there. Really just a fun place to go. You meet up with other crafters and you just have a great time. It's like usually a 3-day event, but they do have other days. They call them kind of like before the actual event happens. They have some classes that you can take as well. So it kind of spans almost the whole week, but it's the main event is 3 days. But you can sign up for any classes online. You can even purchase your tickets online, or you can wait until the day of the event, but it will cost you a little bit more if you do that. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Lots of vendors being there, showing lots of quilts as well. They usually have the Quilts of Valor that are there as well, and they'll do a little ceremony, and they have shows kind of throughout the day. They do some make and takes, which are basically just little booths that you can go to and make little projects for really low cost, usually like $5 and under, or you can take the classes, or you can just watch the shows, and all of that is paid for with your online ticket. I know for Virginia and for Florida, I think if you bought your ticket online, it was like $8. So pretty low cost, and you get a lot of entertainment there for the day. Yeah, really a lot of fun. Okay, so let's see. You went to the expo last year in Louisiana. Nice. Love it. There's just a lot of fun. Yes, it's at the Fredericksburg Expo Center. That's correct. Yes. So if you guys are going to be in that area, I'd love to see you. My sister will be there and my mom will be there. So yay, lots of fun for that. Okay, so let's get to our project here, guys. All right, so as you know, the sashing and the cornerstones, this is where we were at, and we had already did our sashing and we've done our cornerstone. But it bothers me. It just bothered me that, you know, after we went into Embrilliance and we were able to see our fabrics and kind of decide, you know, and kind of audition them. Remember that whole lesson that we did last week on that? It bothered me that I just didn't like all of the noise that was going on in the fabric and the design on top of it. I thought I would be okay with just leaving it like that, since I had already cut up a lot of the fabric and I've already embroidered quite a few sashings here, but I just can't do it, guys. It just bothers me too much. So I went ahead and I changed the fabric, guys. Yeah. And so let me show you one. This is kind of the sample one that I did. So I went ahead and I changed it to a red plain fabric, and I let it embroider the stuff on top. And at first I did it in the blue color, and then I decided, no, I want it to match the cornerstone. I'm going to switch the thread to the white. And so this is what's going to be sewn together today. So we're going to have the green and the white. I just think it looks a lot cleaner because the embroidery is going to stand out a lot more. And I think this fabric is just too busy, although it's beautiful for a Christmas fabric. One thing you can do, if you have a fabric like that and you've already cut it up and you don't want to change it, you can skip embroidering the little snowflakes on here and just keep it as your fabric being the actual background, right? And not have all of this, because it's just a little too busy for me. And it kind of hides the embroidery because the fabric is too busy, so you can't really see it very well. And I think that this fabric helps the embroidery stand out more because the fabric or the background is just plain. You love my change, Cindy? Yeah, I do too. It just kept bothering me. It kept bothering me that this was just so busy. So busy. You just can't see the embroidery on here. So I went ahead and I changed it to the red, and then I went back and I started to embroider the sashings in the red fabric, and kind of through I went ahead and cut off the stabilizer and the extra batting all the way around, and I started to pin it because this is what I want us to start sewing today. But yeah, I'm a lot happier with this. At first I did let it stitch out in the blue, and I didn't like the blue snowflake, so I changed the thread to the white, which is probably why, let me move, I keep forgetting we've got that desk camera now. You can see, let's see, where is it? You can see it here. See, I've got that blue, thread in the background here, and then I didn't like it, and so I said, let me just use the white. So I let it stitch on top on the white because I knew this was my sampler. And so I think the white is a lot better. because this one is just way too busy. Looks great when you're looking at it up close. It looks okay, but from far away, it just, yeah, just not making it for me. Yeah, looks a lot better. Yeah, I think so too. You love the switch to the red. Yeah, it'll make the embroidery blocks jump off. Exactly, Sandy. Yeah, and that's why I had to make that switch. So note to self, because again, I am making 3 of these, right? For the sashing that you pick, because it has those snowflake designs on it, you want to pick a fabric that is a solid color. And it could have a little bit, like, let's look at this green, right? So the green was on the cornerstone. This one itself is not too bad because it doesn't have a ton of design on it, right? Oh, a silver metallic would be pretty. Yeah, you could do that too, Jackie. Could do that too, but I had already done the cornerstones in the white thread. So I said, let me just do that, but I may try that on the second one, right? Because I am making 3 of these. So I think this one, although it's not a complete solid, it's subtle enough where the stitches do stand out. So that's kind of my little note on that take. So that's what I did. I went ahead and did this. And then I did this crazy contraption with all of these pins. And we're going to start off with the first piece. I'm going to set these over to the side. And the way I did this is I went ahead and I used the fork pins. And let me take one out for you. So fork pins here. This is what they look like. Okay. And on these pins, I think they're really amazing because they really help to hold the fabric together. Yes, you can use your regular pins too, but this, I find this is probably the most challenging part on here, is because when you're doing these, you're kind of blindly trying to put right sides together, but you have these little lines here, right? So we've got our lines, which was our placement line. Oh, here we go. Got to get used to this one here. So you've got your placement line here, and you've got to line up your placement lines together, and you want to sew on the inside of that placement line. So on this side, not on this side. You could do right on it. I would do just slightly inside it, because you want, at the end of the day, you want to hide that line. So when you turn it over and you iron it down, you don't want to see the placement lines on any of the blocks that we're putting together. So it makes it a little bit challenging to do that and see it and line it up. So I'm using the fork pins because what I did here, and let's see if you guys can see this. This is where the camera really will come into play here. What I did is, you can see there's 2 lines on here, right? So we've got our placement line over here, and then we've got the tack down line, which is over here. And so there are 2 lines. So I placed my fork, my pin, right in between these 2 lines. Okay, and so this pin is what I'm hoping will represent where I am going to sew. And let me look for another area that may show it a little clearer too, because the hard part is I have white thread, so it's kind of hard to see. But here we got the inside line, and then you have the outside line. Okay. And my pin is right in the middle. So I'm going to be sewing in between the placement line and the tack down line. And I'm hoping by doing that, when I turn this and press this down, you won't be able to see the line at all. And so I pinned it that way on all 3 sides here. I'm going to remove this pin as I'm going to be stitching just right here. Okay. Just on this end. That's all I'm stitching, but I have it pinned on these 2 sides because I don't want it to move. I want it to stay exactly where it is. So that's why I pinned it this way. And I'm hoping this little method will work for me. Don't know if you guys have a method that you use when you're using fork pins or when you are piecing. You know, there's people that do all kinds of little tricks to trying to get that fabric to stay together. I've even seen people use glue to kind of glue it down a little bit. But I didn't want to kind of go that route. So we're going to try this out and see if this works. So this is the very first piece that we're going to be stitching, and that is going to be with a cornerstone on each side of one piece of the sashing. So we've got one sashing piece and 2 cornerstones on either side. That's going to be the very first one that you stitch. So let's try this out. We're going to go over to our sew cam and see how this comes out. And let's see, I am missing something here, aren't I? Yes, I am. Uh-oh. Houston, we have a problem here. Let me see. We are missing a very important piece. My foot pedal. We moved things around. And give me 1 second, guys. Let me grab that. I do have it here, but I had to move things around. So, need to just grab that here. Okay, we've got it. Just need to connect it. And let me find my little piece in the back. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, it's someone's birthday. We've got a birthday in the house here. It's Bettina's birthday. Well, happy birthday to you. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Hey everybody, let's give her a great big happy birthday. I hope you have a great day and you spent it with loved ones. Awesome. Happy birthday to you. Okay. Alrighty here, so. Nope, what did we do? Did I disconnect something? Boy, I'm having a day today. Yeah, I think I must have. Nope, it looks like the whole thing disconnected. Okay. It's just another one of those days, guys. Just another one of those days. All right. We've got another outlet here we can use. So we'll just use this one here and we'll be okay. There we go. All right, we're back in business here. Boy, we're having a time today, right? Yeah, happy birthday. Awesome. All right, so here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this pin here because I know exactly where I want to sew. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm using my J foot. And again, I want to get in between these stitches right here. So I'm going to line my foot right where I think I'm going to be able to get to that middle section. And hopefully I will hit right in between these 2 stitches here. That's where I want to be. It's almost like this is going to be my little track. So I'm going to try to line that up. Here we go. Oh, here we are. Need to line up my needle first. Okay. I think we're good. Grab my little foot here. I'm going to go ahead and press my needle down. Do that again. Okay. And I am using a stitch length of a 3. So my stitch length is at a 3 and I'm using my sewing foot, my J sewing foot, because it just has this open plastic piece here where I can kind of see where the stitching's happening, so it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to take this nice and slow if I can. I have a hard time of sewing really slow. But I'm trying to keep that moving right along the middle. And let me just check myself because I get a little blurry sometimes, but let's see. think I'm going to need to take out my glasses. All right. Let's see how we did with this one. Best thing is, if it didn't work out, we can always undo it and redo it. So let's see. We stitched right there. Looks like it's okay. Let's see if we can bring this over. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because, again, it's white, so it's hard to see. But I'm going to remove the pins. And we're going to fold this over. And I think we did a good job. As you can see here, you cannot see the line. Okay, it is buried inside there. Yeah, you cannot see that line, which is what we want. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to come over to my little mini ironing board, and I'm going to press the seam open just because there's so much bulk going on here that I want to make sure that it presses it down. And so that will help. And if you have your clapper, go ahead and put your clapper in place. And I think that's going to help bring that down. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I think the pinning really helps. Yeah, Barbara, thanks. Yeah, I think the pinning that I did really helps. Now, you really have to take your time on the pinning. It took me a couple of tries lining it up and looking underneath it, making sure that my placement line is aligned with the placement line on the sashing. And so you really need to kind of get in there and look to make sure that you are hitting that right on the spot. And then once you do, what I did initially, and I'll show you this here. Let me show you on the sew cam, since if we can bring that one up. The way I initially did it was I lined up the first 2 stitches right here. I lined that up, I pinned this and poked it through, and then I flipped it to the other side and I looked to see in between, am I hitting that line? And you can see here, nope, not hitting the line. And so I adjusted it here and I made sure that I was then hitting the other stitch line. And so then I brought the pin through. And so that way I knew, and so I'll bring it all the way in here. And so once I have it in this side and I've got it lined up on one corner, I lined it up on the other corner as well. And once I did that, then I knew that my 2 corners were aligned and pinned exactly where I wanted it to be. But of course you can't leave your pins there because that's where you're going to sew. So once I've got this lined up, then I took the pins and I went ahead and I put them right on the sides and I nailed that right in, right? So I pinned that really good so that the whole thing was not going to move on me. And that way, once I did that, I could release the pins on the top. And I just kind of put a placement one so that I knew this is where I want to stitch, is in between these 2 lines. And so that's what you want to do. So it did take me quite a bit of time to do that, but I think it's well worth it in the end, because then you can really, you know, see where you need to sew and you'll be able to hit that mark. Because, you know, your cutting could be a little bit off, you know, you're just trimming. And it was a lot of bulk we were trimming with. So it makes it a little easier when you can kind of do it this way. So, okay. All right. And you can kind of loosen up the pins a little bit as you get towards the end, just to kind of make sure it goes flat. So that kind of happens also. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the other side here. Let's see, make sure you hold your pin straight while matching the corners. Yes, Barbara, when you're doing that, make sure that it is at that 90-degree angle. You don't want it to be off 45 degrees because that little bit of a shift on your pin will shift your fabric just so slightly to get you off about 1/8 of an inch. And doesn't that get you? I mean, it gets me a lot. When I undo the fabric, I see I'm off by 1/8 of an inch, and it could just be because I angled the pin and I didn't have it exactly at a 90-degree angle. So if you angle it just a little bit, your fabric will shift just that much. And so it really, really helps for you to angle that perfectly. Yes, your vertical lines were lined up perfectly. Oh, thank you, Cindy. Yeah, it's really important that you hold those pins straight. Now, once you get it in there, then I put the sides in just to make sure and reinforce that that thing was not going to move, because I really needed to hit that spot. And they don't give you a whole lot of space, right? You've got your placement line and your tack down line. You've only got maybe 1/8 of an inch in between, and that's where you gotta sew. So it's really difficult, and I think that is why if you look at the pattern, Designs by Juju, she put the placement line was like a red thread color. And then the tack down line, if I recall correctly, I think it was a blue color. And so I think between the red and the blue, it makes it a little bit easier on the eye for when you are doing this step, because you can see it. Now, I chose to go ahead and do my placement line, my tack down line. I did it in the white. I was rushing, just wanted to redo all of these sashings, right? So it is a little bit difficult for me, and probably a little difficult for you guys to see it. Let me see if the sample, yeah, maybe on the sample here, you guys can see it a little better. So see here, here's that placement line. And then here is the tack down line. And this is where you're sewing, right in between these two. And because you've got it in blue, I did it both in blue, you know, it makes it a little bit easier to see it when you are stitching, because we're stitching right in between here, in between these two. So you see how the space that you have to sew is not very wide. It's pretty narrow. So you are definitely going to need to be able to hold down those pieces together to really hit that very narrow passage that you have, so that your placement line does not show on your actual project. So yeah, fork pins for me, I think it really helps with any piecing project and projects like these where you have such a narrow space to hit that mark and you have to be super precise. The fork pins really help to avoid the fabric from shifting, but you also need to know how to pin it correctly. You cannot pin it at that 45-degree angle. You need to pin it right at that 90-degree angle and hold that in place so that when you hit it with your machine, you're hitting that mark. So definitely be careful with your pinning. Take your time with it, because it is super important for you to be able to hit that mark. So now let's see if we can do this again. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen this one. It has a little bit of a bulk here. So I'm not too crazy with the way it's landing, but hopefully it's good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward with this one. Just going as slowly as I can. Really difficult for me because my thread is white. And the batting is white, so it's a little hard. And you can see my cutting was a little bit off, right? Because I shouldn't see any of the red. But it was really just trimming it off, right? So let's see how we did. I'm going to take these pins off. Oop. Drop the pin there. And not too happy. Okay, but not great. I may have to redo this one. First, I've got a little thread that kind of got caught up in there, so I'll have to pull that thread off. I do not see the the placement line. So I did a great job there, but it looked like I had a little bit of a bulk issue and I didn't release the pin. And so I'm off just slightly here. So I may just kind of redo just this piece right here. I just need to stretch this one out just a tad. So here it is, 1/8 of an inch, that's off. That could have been my pinning, right? Could have been my pinning. I probably had a little tiny air pocket in here that I didn't smooth out. And so there you go. You've got that 1/8 of an inch that you're off by. And yeah, you think, yeah, that may not be so bad. But when you're lining these up all the way across, you want it to look very uniform. And so this side of the placement line is going to get eaten up by the borders, if you're going to add the borders, or if you're just going to do the sashing across, right? That binding, I'm sorry, the binding is going to eat that up, and so you won't see it. So I technically could probably leave it like that, but I'll go ahead and fix it. Not too bad. I'm only going to have to seam rip maybe just a tad piece, maybe up to here, and then I'll just go back and re-sew that piece there. But on this side, we did do well, so that tells me it just had a little air pocket that I didn't take the pin out quick enough. But you can see here, we did hit the mark exactly. And so we're good. We just have this little piece of thread that I need to just pull off right here. So not too terrible. Not too bad. Now this part of the project, again, is probably the most challenging part in order for you to really get this right. And the reason why it's so important for you to get this right is because once you're done with your first row of all just sashing and cornerstones, your second row is going to be attaching the actual square. Let's see. Oh, Sue has something. So Hoop Sisters recommended using water-soluble thread in your top thread when doing your placement lines. Water-soluble thread. That may not be a bad idea, Sue. That may not be a bad idea. I'm going to try to take a look at that. I may take your tip and try to test it out to see what happens. But thanks for the tip, Sue. That, guys, I don't know, have any of you tried that method? If you have, let us know in the chat, because that's something that, you know, may help us out here. So thanks for sharing that, Sue. So, like I was saying, getting that first row right is important, because that's going to be your anchor for all the rows to come. Because once you have this in place, you're going to be lining up your block. And so your block is going to have the sashings on both sides, right? And you can already see the difference, guys. Look at the sashing on that first block. Big difference from the green, right? I think the red was just so much better. Love it. I really love that. Glad I made the choice. Lot to do to catch up and bring this back to the same level that I had as the green. But yeah. And yeah, if your lines are off in your first row, then you're going to be off on your second row, your third row, so on and so forth. So you really have to be careful with that. Okay, so Sue says if your placement lines are off, you can put water on the thread and it disappears. That's true. Yeah, that's true. And it probably would make it a lot easier. Yeah, absolutely. So here we are. Let's just pretend that we've got this whole first row done. And I'll kind of line this up here. So you're going to be lining up the second row right underneath, and you're going to line up these placement lines here. So if your first one is off, your second one's going to be off. So it's really difficult to, you know, continue to get back on if you're off a little bit. So take your time in doing this step and really kind of make sure that you're happy with how all your stitches landed. and then kind of move on. So now on the block, let me just show you what the block is going to look like. So the block itself, all I did was 2 pins on each side, and I could kind of peek into the corner here just to make sure that my lines are going to line up here, and that's how I'm going to do this, right? So on here, let me see if I can show you on this side, because I only lined up one side to show you. So here we are, right? Let's lay this flat. We've got our 2 placement lines, one on the block and one on the actual border. And I just kind of peek here and I make sure that these 2 will line up. And I'm also checking this side down here, making sure that's going to line up. And so I have that here in place. And so I could pin this side just to make sure that it doesn't move. And so if I take the pin, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it right in between the 2 stitches, right? The placement line and the tack down line. Let me do that. And then I'll show you what the other side looks like. So I've pinned it, and the pin itself is coming right in between the 2 stitch lines, which is exactly what we want. And you guys see that? Right in between the 2. Okay. So I think that really helps out because that will hold that in place, and then all I have to do is stitch all the way down in between the placement line and the tack down line. And you got to do that on both sides of the block. And then you've got to line that up with the first row that you did, which makes it a little bit difficult. So, you know, definitely something you want to look out for. So I'm going to continue to go ahead and sew out the first row, and then I'm going to start tacking on the second row and so on and so forth. And we'll see how far I can get. And then I'll show you the results tomorrow. So as we're running low on time and I want to get to our inspirational quote of the day. So let's move over to that segment. Let's see what we have here. For our inspirational quote of the day, it is, rethink the colors, reshape the vision. Quilting is flexible, forgiving, and full of possibilities. And that's exactly what we did today. We rethought what our sashing was going to look like. We changed it up. I'm a lot happier with it now. And it's something that, you know, don't be afraid to do. If it doesn't work out, you know, that's what we have a seam ripper for, right? Go ahead and use it. You know, that love-hate relationship that we have with them. But it's a lot of fun, and it's really nice to be able to experiment and try different things. So don't be afraid to do that. Awesome. I'm glad you like the quotes. Awesome. You want those pins, Cindy? Yeah, I think the fork pins are really neat to get. Check those out. You can probably pick them up on Amazon or any local quilt shop as well. Alrighty, I know we're getting towards the end of the hour. So guys, if you're interested in any of the things that I've shown, go ahead and check out our shop. We've got Mr. H out there who is updating that constantly. So go ahead and give a little look-see over there to see all of the things that he's got there. So guys, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic day. Don't forget to go ahead and support other YouTubers out there. We've got our Power Tools with Thread coming on shortly. So let's go ahead and give her some support. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.
So long for now, so long. Glad you stayed a while. Hope you liked my crafting style. Hope I left you with a smile. By now, keep your mind and space clutter-free. Hope your day is bright as can be. So long, my friends, till we craft once again. Bye now, stay crafting. See you tomorrow. So long, my friends, till we craft once again.